Senator Jeanne Shaheen cast the deciding vote for Obamacare. Now, employers may cut your weekly work hours from 40 to 29 to avoid the new taxes and penalties. Fewer hours, less money, tougher times. Tell Senator Shaheen you can't afford Obamacare.
GrokTALK.
Hey there. Hey there, hey there. I'm just fooling around with my buttons here, not doing anything right. Skip's getting Pete on the phone. Is he ready? Is he here?
He's here.
He's here. Pete! Mr. Pete, there you are. Hi, Pete.
How do?
Good morning.
Oh, I certainly hope so.
How are things in the sunny state of Massachusetts?
Well, we'll know that answer better in about 72 hours or so, as Massachusetts decides whether or not they've had enough.
Well,
and for
isn't that a different measuring stick in Massachusetts than, say, the rest of the nation?
Well, you know, the very fact that there's a possibility that a Republican might win in any district is a big deal in Massachusetts. So you have to take the victories where you can get them. After all, there's a reason why so many people here flee up to New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. So, and Charlie Baker.
Yep, Charlie Baker is looking good, and you know he's looking good because the Boston Globe endorsed him. I would sincerely doubt that the Globe would endorse Charlie Baker if they thought he was going to lose.
You know, I could see the Herald endorsing him, but the Globe? Really?
Well, when you look at it, Charlie Baker, and in fairness, Charlie Baker is pretty left, especially on social issues. And frankly, some of his advertising is making it very difficult for me to pull the lever for him. In the same way that Scott Brown, some of his advertising, oh no, I'm pro-choice, oh no, this would make it very difficult for me to pull the lever for him until I think of Jeanne Shaheen, and then it becomes much easier. And again, in the same situation, the problem is it's the whole argument of the good versus the perfect. Do you want to be taxed 50%? Do you want to be taxed 10%? Do you want to be taxed? You cannot shoot yourself in the foot, because what happens is you feel good because it's like a kid being angry at his parent and deciding, I'm going to go out and crash the car. You feel satisfaction at the time of income. Boy, your parents are going to be upset, and then you have no car for 6 months.
You said state races other than governor. You have some state senate races, maybe, or
we
local races where people are going to win?
We have some local races that are looking interesting. We have of course, the congressional race on the Cape is looking a little better, and you have the Richard Tassay. Now, the Tassay race has got to be the strangest race that I've seen in a long time. The Democrats had John Tierney for a very long time, and you might recall it was 4 years ago that Tierney's wife was convicted of money laundering and tax evasion and the like. And at the time, the Democrats and the people of the district still reelected him by 20-something points. Then came Richard Tassay running against him the first time, and Tierney won by a hair. So in the primary comes Seth Moulton. Now, Moulton is a anomaly. He is an anti-war person who volunteered to go and fight in Iraq and served 4 terms. And he ran in a primary against Tierney, and he crushed Tierney in the primary. So now you have Moulton versus Tassay, who is one of 2 gay Republicans running in the United States this time around. And to say it's an odd contradiction, because nobody questions his character, but in terms of his opinions, he's about as far left. You're talking Elizabeth Warren left. This guy is an honest guy, but he's Elizabeth Warren left.
Wow.
And you have Richard Tassay, who is very left on social issues, and you wondering yourself, will he become a Scosa Fava once he's in Washington, being the go-to guy for Democrats who want to hit conservatives in Congress? but he's right on fiscal issues and has a good record on fiscal issues. So you have a lot of conservatives wondering, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do here? But then you have a very strange wild card. Moulton's polling, DeSay has been polling ahead of Moulton, which would seem strange because you figure you get the crook out. You've got, obviously, the non-crook will look better. But this is Massachusetts. And why would Democrats, why would the unions, why would all the people with their hand in the till vote for someone who's honest and won't reward them? And that's the most interesting part about this. In the areas where Tierney was the strongest, Moulton's polling much poorer. And I suspect that's because he's not a graft guy. I mean, what's the point? And that's the thing about Massachusetts. You have the union machine which turns out people because the graft comes back. And if there's not going to be graft, why vote for a Democrat who won't give you graft when you can wait 2 years and figure, well, we'll put up with a Republican for 2 years, and then we'll get a good old boy to put back in there who will give us the graft.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sounds like us here in New Hampshire in reverse. Can we put up with Charlie Bass for 2 years and then replace him?
Well, I agree, because you think about that. That's good math for the unions, because he is a Republican in Massachusetts. Statistically, the odds of him retaining that seat for any length if he wins it are very, very slim.
Plus, there's always the chance that DeSay will throw a few bones their way.
True.
Graft
does grow on you in Massachusetts, like barnacles.
Yeah, just ask all the former Speaker of the Houses about it.
Yeah, we have a pretty good run of Speakers of the Houses going to jail. I mean,
yep.
Are you in a contest with mayors or governors? I'm sorry, governors of Illinois.
Well, no, it's very similar in terms of voting the dead and so forth. But Massachusetts is looking very odd. And we've got some, like, for example, Massachusetts 3rd District. We have only three contested congressional races. And in my district, we have Ann Wolford running against Nikki Tsongas. Now, Tsongas has one advantage over most Democrats, in that she's very good on military issues, and she's actually a very delightful and open person. I mean, for example, I get invited to a lot of her events to cover it, even though she knows I'm conservative, I disagree with you. Always friendly, always the type of person that you like. That's you could be socially friendly with, even when you disagree.
An honest Democrat.
An honest Democrat. However, Wolford is a brilliant woman. An engineer, crisp answers. I covered the debate between her and Tsongas a few days ago, and this woman is absolutely brilliant. And her answers were strong, specific problem-solving answers, but she's getting absolutely no support in a district that Scott Brown won back in 2010. And I have a feeling the reason why she's not getting support is the same reason why you don't see national Republicans rushing to push Marilyn Garcia, because they would rather have a Charlie Bass type, if you know what I mean. They would rather not have the strong conservative in Congress. And because the House is going to stay Republican, they figure, well, we can afford to keep this person out, because you never know that they might push for the Tea Party. And I think that's a crying shame, because here you have two brilliant conservative women who, when anyone even breathes war on women, should be put right out front. And we're ignoring them, and it's a crime.
It is.
It really is.
It is. It's the way the machine works, though, And then, of course, you never know once you get them down there what's going to happen. So,
I mean, that's hard enough.
It is. You have to keep eye on things, and you really have to that's when you really need to use whatever influence you had in the primary or in the general election to help them get there in the first place, and to try to use that, to go after them when they vote bad right away. I mean, all over them.
I mean, Washington is like radiation. The amount of money and the amount of favors people want to throw at you just reaches out and tries to permeate you, and you have to be a very strong character to resist it.
And the question is once you send them down there, this is sometimes where I vary from Steve, where you got to be on them all the time. But if you get a candidate in that goes completely DC, and you realize this guy isn't going to listen to me no matter what. I've been used just to get to D.C., and now they don't care anymore. because they know that later on, as long as they do the right kowtowing, they'll get all the money they need to stay in office.
Well, that's why you have to keep them honest. Even the most dishonest poll, if he thinks they can win, if you can't change their minds, make them feel the heat. That's the bottom line. You have to make them feel the heat if you can't change their minds. If there's an issue there, that's basically what has to be done. And here in Massachusetts, one thing that Baker's doing is I was criticizing Baker a little bit, but the one thing he has done is he has been pushing Republican candidates down ticket a bit. And this is something that we haven't gotten as much from other people. And we have some good candidates. For example, Richard Bastine, great, interesting debate in my own local area, the state Senate race. We actually had, during the debate, there was a question. Everyone's heard of Unitil, and I'm sure some of you in New Hampshire have Unitil. And in this area, if you bash Unitil, you never go wrong bashing Unitil. And so during the debate between Jen Flanagan and Richard Bastine, Flanagan bashes Unitil over the ice storm and the response from a couple of years ago. And Bastine says, well, wait a moment. You took money from a lobbyist who lobbies for Unitil. It's right here on your campaign thing, and she suddenly got indignant. I do not sell my vote. I do not, something like that. But she's also on one of the subcommittee chair of Ways and Means, so she's getting donations from as far away as Ohio because she controls. There's a $35 billion budget, and everyone wants a piece.
Sure.
So when Bastine says, well, these people are on their website, he points to the website, these people on their website boast that they influence lawmakers. So why do you think they give to you? And she said that the money does not influence votes, and you'd have to ask them. And it's one of those things where if it was a national race, that clip would be viral everywhere of a Democrat saying
you got about 20 seconds unless you want to stick around.
Actually, I have to run. I'm going to be doing some canvassing.
That's what I thought you would. Okay, you got about 15 seconds. Brown Shaheen, what do you think? Who's going to win? 15 seconds.
I think that Brown might edge it, but either way we win because we tied up a bunch of Democrat money in New Hampshire that they didn't expect to have to spend.
All right, that's fair enough. All right, Pete Ingemi, the tech guy, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us on GrokTALK.
Thanks for having me.
See you later, Pete. All right,
Bye.
We will be back next segment with maybe nobody, but it will be here. So come on back and listen, and we'll try to make it worth your while. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, this is GrokTALK. We'll be right back.
When asked whether she still supports Obamacare, Senator Jean Shaheen said,
"Yes, I do continue to support the law. We're beginning to see some positive results."
How can Senator Shaheen say we're seeing positive results when 22,000 of our neighbors have already lost their health insurance? What's worse, the Boston Globe reports the state's only health insurance provider radically reduced the number of hospitals in their network, forcing some people to drive over an hour for lab work, even when there's a hospital within a few miles of their home. When pressed about lack of access, Shaheen said,
"There are some hospitals that are not covered, unfortunately, and I certainly hope that's going to change."
Jean Shaheen promised us we could keep our doctors and our healthcare coverage. Now she hopes we can get to a local hospital? Call Senator Shaheen at 603-647-7500. Tell her we need more than hope. We need leadership. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
This is the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning. You're listening to GrokTALK.